Look, I'm pretty hyped, so I'm not going to mess around. Could you please drop a like on the video? That would be much appreciated. Also, sub to the channel. I'm trying to hit 10K. Anyways, let's get into the video. We like the Detroit Pistons doing bits in the draft. Killian Hayes, Isaiah Stewart, Saddiq Bey. That's 2 top 10 prospects in my opinion in Saddiq Bey and Killian Hayes. Isaiah Stewart, I'm not going to lie, I'm not a draft expert. I don't know too much about him. I'm going to do some research as we go on, but I don't know too much about Isaiah Stewart. I know he fills a need, which is defense. He can somewhat stretch the floor. He's got a bit of potential on that end of the floor. I know if Troy Weaver has pulled that off, I've got faith in him. There's no reason for me not to trust him. And that's kind of the theme of most things about me in draft tonight. As someone who doesn't watch a ton of college basketball, a ton of prospects, a ton of this, I watch the film, I read some articles, I look at numbers, I do all of that stuff. Like, I know a bit of what's going on, but as someone who doesn't watch as much as obviously the scouts and the general managers do, then I'm not going to completely disagree with anything they do until they're proven otherwise that it's a bad pick. That's something that irks me, but that's a different story. What we're here to do is explore the Detroit Pistons draft and why it was such a good draft and a perfect draft. A draft that kept offering. A draft that was just incredibly exciting. Heading into the night, I thought the 7th overall pick's going to be exciting. Then we traded for the 16th. I'm like, oh, that'll probably be exciting. And then we traded for the 19th. I'm like, what is going on? We've now got 3 picks in the top 20. 2 of them were 2 top 10 prospects, in my opinion, and 2 positions of complete need. And Isaiah Stewart, don't know too much about him, but I do know a lot about Saddiq Bey and Killian Hayes. And what I do know is great picks, Troy Weaver, great business. Let's talk about it. So fans were a bit pressed because we were rumored to be very high on Patrick Williams. We were looking to trade up to the 3rd overall pick. I mean, again, no reason to say that would have been a bad move. Troy Weaver, think about this. He was the guy that was very high on Russell Westbrook, I believe, back when he was taken. He was a flyer, similar kind of guys, that mindset, that athleticism, a bit raw, a bit of a flyer, but people that they thought had that kind of mindset, that athleticism to be a star in the NBA. And obviously Russell Westbrook turned out to be exactly that. So maybe he thought Patrick Williams was going to be that. But personally, I don't really mind because we ended up with Killian Hayes, the Frenchman, Sekou Doumbouya, Killian Hayes, best friends, linking up in Detroit. Oh, he's got to go from France to Detroit. Yeah, well, he's got his best buddy Sekou, and they're going to be teaming up, and that's going to be like Giannis and James Harden. We'll say Euro James Harden. That's going to be like Giannis and Euro James Harden on the same team. Who else do we have? We've now got Saddiq Bey. We're going to talk about how it's all going to mold together. Sorry, Saban. I completely forgot we drafted Saban Lee out of Vanderbilt. Averaged 19, 4, and 3 on 48% from the field, 32% from 3. I did see him catch an absolutely insane body in one of the highlight clips I saw of him. That's about it. That's about all I know from him. I didn't even see any real draft experts know a ton about him, but that gives me actual confidence when I see stuff like this. Most people kind of think, oh, that's a bad thing. In my opinion, as someone who trusts general managers, particularly until they've proven untrustworthy, like Stan Van Gundy, we won't talk about that name, but until they prove untrustworthy, I'm going to trust him to take a flyer on someone like a Saban Lee, and I'm going to trust that it's a good pick because obviously there's something that he sees in this guy that promises something coming off the bench, something, a little rotation with him and Killian Hayes, that kind of stuff going on. I quickly have one thing to say. So we spent 10 minutes on the Timberwolves. We spent 12 minutes on the Warriors. We spent 15, 10, whatever. All these minutes interviewing, draft profiles, all of this, talking about the pick, talking about how it fits into the team. Every single pick up until the Pistons pick, they give about 10 minutes, draft profiles, interviews, talking about how the team fits, talking about why it's a good pick. 7th overall pick, Killian Hayes out of France. Oh yeah, he's a good pick. He's coming from overseas, point guard, lefty. Oh, let's go to the Knicks. We've got 6 minutes on the board. Let's talk about what the Knicks could do and the 7 different options they could go with. Instead of waiting for the next pick to be in and actually talking about Killian Hayes as a prospect, no, let's talk about the endless options the Knicks have instead of, wait, what would have been a more logical thing? Wait, something could have been a bit more logical. So we have the possibility we can do this. We can talk about Killian Hayes and how he fits the Detroit Pistons. Yeah, we can do that. And then when the Knicks have their pick, we can talk about Obi Toppin and how he fits the Knicks. No, we're going to completely disregard Detroit's pick. And then we're going to talk about what the Knicks could do, not what the Pistons have just done. We see a tangible thing right there. Killian Hayes to the Pistons. It's done. It's a done deal. Let's talk about it. No, let's talk about the possibilities of the Knicks. Why not just wait 3 minutes and then just talk about what's actually happened? That stuff irks me. That's just, yeah. 16th pick, I don't think we got any coverage either. I was watching this on my phone. I was out, just couldn't get around to it. But 16th pick, we didn't get any coverage. I know the 19th pick, they were talking to Steve Nash, the Brooklyn Nets head coach. We got absolutely no coverage on that. So 38th pick, I don't know exactly. But yeah, 3 first-round picks, a top 7 pick, one of the best prospects in the draft, according to some people, according to Kevin O'Connor, the best prospect in the class. Yeah, absolutely no coverage. Love to see it. Always good to see ESPN looking out for the Pistons. That's why I love that company. Probably shouldn't say that, I'll get sued or something, but yeah, great. Thanks, ESPN. So now that I've got that off my chest, let's talk about the picks and let's talk about the trade of one of our favorites, one of my favorites, Luke Kennard. But first, let's talk about Killian Hayes. We needed a point guard. That's the one thing I talked about. We needed a point guard. I thought if we were going to get Patrick Williams at 7, when we traded for 16, we were going to go for like a Kyra Lewis, maybe an RJ Hampton, a Tyrell Terry, maybe take a flyer on him. Just something along those lines. If they were going to get a Patrick Williams, like we needed a point guard, we got one. Killian Hayes, some people really liked him. Like I said, Kevin O'Connor had him as the number 1 ranked prospect in the class. Someone who's fantastic in the pick and roll. That's what everyone says. That's what I've seen in film. That's what I've seen in the numbers. He's very efficient. And I would love to see him have a pick and roll partner. Hey, Christian Wood, you want to stay around for a bit longer, help Killian Hayes in the pick and roll? Blake Griffin, a couple of pick and roll partners. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see D Rose stay around and mentor him. These are things that everyone's talking about. Just trade these guys, just get rid of them. There's still value. I wouldn't mind trading them. Look, that's fine as well, but there's still value in keeping them. And keeping a pick and roll guy, Blake Griffin or Christian Wood or both, Killian Hayes is going to thrive in that situation. His jump shot has raised questions. That's the reason people didn't have him as that consensus pick. I think that was probably the biggest question mark over him, and his athleticism compared to guys like Anthony Edwards who just jump out the gym. But Hayes, he's someone that shot well from the free throw line, someone that shot well from mid-range, someone that can step back and hit a jumper. He's got pretty solid form from what I've seen. I'm no expert on the form side of things, but form looked pretty solid to me. The jumper doesn't look like something that's going to be a complete issue. I think he can get that sorted out. I think at the very least he can be an average shooter, and that's solid if we get him at the point guard position. Fantastic passer, has upside on defense, is a solid defender already, solid, good team defender, high IQ plays on that end of the floor. Great passer, one of the best passers in the draft. 3-level scorer, can get to the rim, can get to the mid-range spot, and can shoot the 3-ball. Not well, not efficiently this year, but LaMelo Ball didn't shoot it efficiently, and he was one of the top-ranked prospects. Anthony Edwards didn't shoot it efficiently. Now that I think about it, no one really shot it efficiently in the top 10, so yeah, he'll get it sorted. He's got a good enough free throw percentage. He's got a good enough mid-range that I'm not too worried about that. Then let's move to the 16th pick. Again, don't really know too much about Isaiah Stewart, so we're going to move on pretty swiftly, but what I've heard, someone who's got an interior presence defensively, and I think that's important. We need some defense. You looked at the team before. I knew our offense was not going to be an issue when you've got Blake Griffin, one of the best offensive players in the league. If we keep Blake Griffin, that's what he offers. Christian Wood is someone who's not great defensively. That's the issue. But what he is someone that can stretch the floor, do a number of things offensively. He's fantastic offensively. We brought in someone else in Killian Hayes who looks promising offensively. We've got Svi Mikhailuk. We had Luke Kennard. We lost him. We'll talk about that. Sekou Doumbouya, Derrick Rose, another offensive player. Pretty offensive-minded team when you look at it. So we bring in Isaiah Stewart, who apparently can stretch the floor a bit. Apparently that's still a work in progress, but he's shown potential to do that. He's just a rim runner kind of guy, someone who provides energy, someone who provides defense, rim protection, all of these things. Your typical kind of rim runner guy that can hopefully stretch the floor, which could separate him from your typical rim runner guy. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying there, but you know what I mean. So that's kind of all I've got to say about Stewart. I'll look into it a bit later and maybe talk about that at another date. But let's go to the 19th pick. Probably my favorite pick of the draft because he was someone I loved in the draft. Someone I thought could go as high as like top 12, top 10. That's the kind of prospect he is. People even thought maybe Atlanta took an absolute flyer on him at 6. That's the kind of player he is. That's Saddiq Bey, and we traded Luke Kennard for him. Let's talk about Luke Kennard for a quick second. I'll probably make a video on him a bit later about how the Clippers did really well because I think he fits the Clippers perfectly. But what he doesn't do is fit the Pistons that well because, like I've said, we don't have the defense. And we bring in Saddiq Bey, who's a very good shooter. I don't think he's going to be the same kind of shooter as Luke. There's a difference between being a great college shooter over one season and being a consistent 40% shooter from the NBA level for consecutive years, hitting him off setbacks. Luke's a fantastic shooter, I think. Don't know if Saddiq's going to be that kind of shooter. I hope he proves me wrong. I know he shot 45%, but there's a difference. Let's not get carried away on that end of the floor. But on the other end of the floor, we're getting in someone who offers defense, versatility. Villanova small forwards. Think about Villanova small forwards. You've got Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart. Those are the two last guys that won the best Villanova small forward, or whatever the award was. There's an award that they get given. Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart. And when you look at those guys, just Villanova players in general don't seem to fail. Dante DiVincenzo, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart. Yeah, like I said, Saddiq Bey is the next one that's not going to fail in this year's draft. And I think he's just a perfect pick. In terms of Luke, he was great, but he did have knee injuries. He's coming up. He's going to get paid next year, something that we probably didn't know if we were going to pay him that kind of money. And you're getting a 19th overall pick for someone that people thought wasn't a good pick at 12 3 years ago. Now he's had knee injuries. Sure, he's performed at the NBA level, and I think he's a good player. I think he's going to do a great job on the Clippers. But in terms of how he fits into the Pistons, when you bring in someone like Killian Hayes, who isn't yet a great defender, and you're going to want to give him minutes, then you don't want someone next to him that's not a very good defender. If you wanted to keep Luke, you needed to get someone that's just a lockdown defender at the point guard position. Hayes could turn out to be that, I don't know, but at the moment he's not. And then we've got someone like Svi Mykhailiuk, who came in and averaged like 10 points a game on like 40% shooting when he got the chance, 40% from three. He's a sniper. He's not Luke, but in terms of the shooting realm, he's not far off, really. He doesn't have the playmaking, doesn't create off the dribble as much, but he's someone I could have quite a lot of faith in, and coming in and averaging like 12 points a game on 40% from three. And he's a Luke light, and you get a 19th overall pick, someone who fits the team better. I think we needed a defensive player and a 3-and-D type guy. Saddiq Bey is the perfect option for us. Luke's got injury concerns, coming up to get a big contract. Sure, he's a great player. I'm not going to degrade him now because he's traded. I still think he's a great player, great fit for the Clippers. But there's question marks over him. I think there's very little question marks over Saddiq Bey. I think he's going to be at the very least a good role player. Maybe he doesn't have the upside, but he's going to be a good shooter, good defender, something we need going forward. When you go for a guy like Killian Hayes, Isaiah Stewart, Sekou Doumbouya, these are guys with more upside, but not that same kind of stability. We needed a stable pick, and we got it, so I'm really happy with that pick. Again, I don't know too much about the guy out of Vanderbilt. I forgot his name again. Is it Saban Lee? Yeah, it is Saban Lee. Sorry about that. I couldn't really tell you about him. In terms of the draft, I'm going to give it an A. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to give it an A. I thought Luke was going to get traded probably. People thought, oh, that's a bad trade to give up for 19th. But when you look at someone like Saddiq Bey, who everything he provides to the Pistons team, you have a pretty ready replacement in Svi Mykhailiuk coming off the bench for Luke, who already proved he could do it during last year's regular season, something that people don't know because they don't watch the Pistons games. But yeah, we've got that kind of replacement. Great draft. Yeah, great draft, Pistons. We did well. Good stuff, Detroit. Nice. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say. If you did enjoy the video, a like would be greatly appreciated. Other than that, I'll catch you next time. Bye.